know it works.
Oh,
Yeah, that's big. Welcome to Central Florida Facilitators Club 9958. We have no guests this evening, however, bathrooms are down the hall. I'm ad-libbing, so we're going forward. And if you have an electronic device, please make sure to silence it now. At Toastmasters, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders, and we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Please join me in welcoming our thought and pledge leader this evening, Ms. Emma Hancock.
Life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. Now, if we could all please stand for a second. Right over there. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, I'd like to invite up our other person. Ms. Jaye.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I'm glad to see everyone here. We have such a big crowd. Wow. We haven't been there. Where is everybody, first off? Are there any things we need to deal with before we jump into the program or before I introduce the dues? Pardon? Dues. Yes, all right. And I will turn that comment over to our treasurer.
Right. Thank you. Raise your hand if you've paid your dues. This is for, so we've got, did you pay online?
I did.
Perfect. If you just send me the email confirmation, that would be great because it doesn't log and you don't know any notification of it. Jessica, Pardeep, I think you're done.
Nope, I asked you. Paying online was okay, so I was hoping to do.
For you? Yeah.
That's
That's it. Looks like we're doing well. For everybody?
We're gonna get our 9 before the 7.
Oh, I think we're already at 9. So we're
Okay. So we're gonna get those in and get the confirmation so that that can be sent on to who needs to receive it. Okay? Yeah.
Nice job, everyone, and thank you very much for being cooperative with me. And everyone's life is here.
Thank you. All right. One little thing I would like to read to just remind our club, we are called the facilitators for 3 reasons. We're sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators. It's open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy and possible. And we want to make things easy and possible for all of you tonight. And especially, sadly we don't have guests, but that would be what we want to do. Make it easy for everyone. Yes, we do have one guest who's been regular lately. Would you like to stand up and tell us who you are and how you're...
The name is Jim Smith. I'm a customer here. I saw you. Me?
All right. I'd like to remind you all the little slips we have on the table. Make your comments to the speakers. Make sure you do your voting and vote for the most improved, just as a little reminder. And without further ado, for 30 years, Stephen has been hypnotizing anyone and everyone willing and interested. Trained by experts in the field, Stephen can be found conducting group sessions, performing on stage, and helping individuals one-on-one. As a certified instructor with the National Guild of Hypnotists and with the National Federation of Neurolinguist Psychology, Stephen has also taught and lectured about hypnosis and NLP. As he explains it, only two things are needed: imagination and communication. I say all about Toastmasters. Whatever your goal, if you can imagine it, you can do it. Whatever your dream, if Stephen and you can communicate, he can help you reach it. Please welcome Stephen Morgan, our Toastmaster for the evening.
Thank you, Madam President. The theme is listed as engage. And for all the Star Trek files out there, you can play with that if you wish. But the real goal here is, how do you engage with your audience or with the people you are talking to? How do you get them interested in listening to what you have to say? I have a lot of tidbits to throw out there, and apparently I have a whole lot of time to give, to fill up with these little nuggets. The first part, of course, is, how does your speech begin? Well, the simple question then is, where and when does your speech begin? And what do you think that might be? Kristin, when does the speech begin?
Start speaking.
You start speaking. Sarah, when would you say? You've been here too long.
You've exchanged handshakes and you're at the, what's the guy, it's the lectern or podium, but
Lectern?
that wouldn't
Stand
be
behind the lectern and
yeah,
on the
when you're
podium.
behind that thing, it's your turn.
It can be with a gesture.
You
It
can.
down have to be
You
spoken.
could.
Oh, it's
Or
not
do you-
yet? No.
When would you think the speech begins? Not sure there. Richard?
As Jaye and Kristin, it's a combination of either vocal movement or some sort of gesture that
Julian, you wanted to say something?
instigates your beginning.
Yes.
With the introduction.
Very good. And now Jessica's nodding your head.
We all get it.
The speech begins at the introduction. It's before you are on stage. That is how you are setting the stage. Therefore, that is why we emphasize here the importance of having a prepared introduction. Because you presumably want to set your stage, set yourself up for success. It's dangerous if you come up to me without an introduction. I'm introducing you. I will make one up. You will have to deal with it. That could be quite interesting. As Jessica is about to give me hers for later. I had an introduction that I gave to Jaye. It actually was not a specific one, since I had not prepared specifically for the introduction, but it is one I had already written, already had printed out, had sitting there on the occasion I was going to need an introduction. I have several different ones prepared. One of them, the hypnosis-based one. Another one's a computer-based one. Third one will be based on careers or hobbies or a general overall view. Having those sitting there and available means, on the off chance that you are going to find yourself filling a role that needs an introduction, which would never happen here, you have something already prepared, printed out, easy to read, nice big print, by the way, so that those of us who have need of help do not have to use that help in order to read your introductions. And of course, the real fun one is when you get a handwritten introduction that you cannot understand. Those are always entertaining to read. As the introducer, you want to make a point of reading ahead of time what those introductions are, which I now have to find a way to make the time to do so. so that you know what the words are and how to pronounce them and how to put the inflection in. You know where the ends of the sentences are so that you don't end up at the end of a phrase and realize, oh, there's more. You want to make sure that you're presenting the introduction in the way that the speaker wants it to be done. But what do you put in the introduction? What do you want to be there? Here's the fun parts. The introduction is setting the stage for yourself. So there's a few different things you may take. You may want a setup to your speech. You may want to have some sort of a setting established so that you don't have to do that in the speech yourself. In that case, you design your introduction to set that up. Put the audience in the mood, give them a little tidbit, a tale, a quick anecdote. Not overly long, but so that they are already in the mindset you want them to be before you go into the opening of your speech. Intro, opening, two different things. Someone else says the introduction, you say the opening. The other possibility is that you want to set yourself up in the introduction. And if you're getting up to speak about something and you want to be the authority, I know what I'm talking about. But if I were to walk up here and simply say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm great. How's that going to come across to the audience? If you're trying to blow yourself up, you look like a blowhard. You have your introduction written out to blow yourself up and make someone else read it. So that you put out all your credentials, all your expertise, and have someone else say it. Even if you wrote it, and you should be writing it. That is how you set yourself up as the expert. And it doesn't hurt to put in a little bit of humor as well, so that you seem also a bit of more human at the same time. So for your introductions, you should be setting yourself up or setting your speech up, maybe even a combination of both. The longer your speech probably means the longer your introduction will be as well. Take advantage of it. You're going to be here in this club, you're going to be getting up and speaking, being Toastmaster, being Table Topics Master, General Evaluator, or Evaluator. All of those roles get introduced here. Write introductions. Write introductions for each role now. Have them ready, sitting in your folder. Generic ones that you'll have available at any moment. And when you've got a speech where you're going to be Toastmaster and setting up your theme and you know what you want, write a specific introduction then. This is how you get the audience engaged and started and ready to roll for your speech. And I've got lots of time left. Our technical table this morning has an addition. The blank spot as listed for supervisor elections. Kristin has offered to take that particular one. As you might note, Roy has not made it here today, so we don't have the second evaluator, but we still don't have a second speaker, so that's not a big loss. But I would love to see someone step up and take a second speaking slot nonetheless. Anyone willing to take that shot? At some point, y'all are going to have to listen to Darren LaCroix again, stage time. Take it when you can get it. Well, we'll begin with our technical table then. Our grammarian this evening, Emma, please explain what you'll be doing.
As a grammarian, I have two basic responsibilities. First, I provide a relay to all of you. And we do this in order to expand our vocabulary. Today, the word is wrapped, which means deeply engrossed or absorbed, transported with emotion or enraptured. Okay, let me say that right. If you have the opportunity to use this word, please do. I'll keep track of those who do use the word of the day, and those who do not will be fined 25 cents except for yes, and members who have not yet given their experience. I will also listen for colorful imagery and language, and suggest improvements in grammar as needed.
hear wrapped, you just wrapped. Did you? For our Wizard of Oz, Susan, explain the role.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As odd counter, it is my responsibility to keep track of audible crutches, such as and double clutches, which are a repetition of a word while the speaker is searching for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words like and or so, and I will sound the buzzer, maybe not, when I hear these infractions. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet done their icebreaker speech will not be buzzed or fined, but I'll keep track of their infractions. And please note that the buzzer is not meant to embarrass, but to give immediate feedback of an area that needs improvement. Mr. Toastmaster.
Our timer this evening, Richard, will explain his role.
As speakers, it's easy for us to be wrapped in our own speeches and forget where we are, what we're doing. So as timer, my responsibility is to help keep us on track. That is within 30 seconds. No, forgive me. Operating the timing light. Prepared speeches. To qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 minutes under the range minimum, not more than 30 seconds over the range maximum. So for prepared speeches tonight, it would be 5 to 7 minutes for Pardeep, and then table topics 1 to 2 minutes, evaluations 2 to 3 minutes. Mr. Tyler, Toastmaster.
See, I wrapped when you said wrapped. And our vote counter this evening, Kristin.
Vote counter, for the purposes of this evening, I will be collecting your votes for best table topics master, I believe best speaker and evaluator for tonight's draft would be.
As long as they qualify, we only have one of each. I don't
All
think
right,
we
well,
need to vote.
see how it's going to go. I don't have that. And elevator ballots for best speaker, best table topics master, best evaluator, and most improved. I'll tally the results for board presentations at the end of the meeting, and I'll pick up any comments that you all might have and disperse them to the appropriate parties. I hope not to be too rapid tallying votes this evening.
You've had your introduction, you've set your stage, you've gotten the audience stimulated and set to where you want. Now you're going to open your speech. What do you want your opening to do? This is going to be in grand part based on what do you want your speech to do? What do you want the audience to feel? What do you want them to think? What is this crazy ride you're going to take us on? And how does it start? That will help you determine where the opening is going to be. And the real key in all of it is that if you abstract it down to its basic part, the opening is simply the way you grab attention. You want to grab the audience's attention in some way because you want to draw them in quickly. You want us moving on that ride. And there are many ways you can grab attention. It doesn't mean you have to suddenly be loud or be bold. You can be very quiet. You can stand there and wait doing nothing until everyone stops clapping. And then they're wondering what's coming next, so they're watching you. You will have their attention. You will definitely be able to take them from there. Or you could start with a sudden, bold motion, a very loud start, maybe a sound effect, maybe some other action they have someone else stage. But the real key at that opening is you want to pull the audience in, pull them in quickly. You want them to get out of their own thoughts and into your story, into your speech. So for those who are off listening to them, thinking of their own things, you want to find a way that pulls them in to where you are so that you can take them on that ride. Pull everyone into the moment, and then we can all enjoy the fun. Consider that when you want to put your opening together. It's not going to simply be a, thank you ladies and gentlemen, boring. We all hear it. We're all off now thinking about what our breakfast is going to be for the next morning. Now find some other way to get us engaged and pulled in quickly. That's the key to opening. We have one speaker set this evening. He is our newest member, and at the rate he's going, he will be DTM before any of the rest of you bother to give another speech. So I certainly hope some other people are planning to do so. Our speaker this evening is the newest addition to our Toastmaster family. He is a business intelligence architect who works at Adventist Health Systems and loves spending quality time with his wife Isha and his 5-year-old son Subham. He truly believes that life is a blessing and we all can make a positive impact in this world. He also thinks that true happiness is found in helping those who are in need. In his speech today, he will be sharing a personal story and his experience from a time in his life when he lived in extreme poverty conditions. Please help me welcome Pardeep Jindal. Hello.
It was a beautiful Sunday evening on April 15, 2012, and I still remember my trip to the local Walmart. What was so special about that day that I still remember it just like it happened yesterday, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow colleagues. I was looking for the cheapest groceries that I could find in Walmart. I had less than $5 in my pocket, and I needed food supplies for the next 3 days. I spent almost an hour there, and all I could find was some pasta, some white rice, and some white bread. And that too from Great Value brand, because that was the cheapest. And in that 1 hour, I spent $4 and about 50 cents. I also wanted to get a bottle of water, but that was way too expensive for me. So I had to use tap water. So what was I trying to do? Do you think I had gone crazy? No, I was trying to take this challenge, live below the line. This was a challenge that I heard about from one of my CIOs in Fidelity in 2012, who had posted this on internal Facebook of Fidelity. So I felt motivated to take this challenge, and I was like, okay, let me try it for 3 days. So what is Live Below the Line challenge? So the challenge is an annual anti-poverty campaign that encourages people from developing countries to live below the line for 5 days in a year. You pick your days and live below the line for 5 days. And send that money that you save to UNICEF so they can continue to help the poorest communities in the world. The next thing was, which 3 days do I select? So I selected Monday through Wednesday. I was not sure I could do the challenge for 5 days, so I decided to take it for 3 days. And just to be clear, the motive of this whole challenge and campaign is to spread real awareness into poverty and help the poorest at the same time. So what is that poverty line? In 2001, the World Bank declared that poverty line to be $1.25 a day. What does it mean? Somebody living in the United States would be considered to live in extreme poverty if they're spending $1.25 a day on their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In 2005, thanks to the inflation, that number was increased to $1.50, and 2015, they increased that number to $2 a day. So just imagine what could you do in $2 a day. So how did this campaign start? This campaign started in a Melbourne house in late 2009, where two friends, over a couple of drinks, they discussed the impact of poverty. These guys were passionate about removing poverty from the world, and they'd been working on it for these many years, but they really wanted to do something to make it a bigger impact. So they came up with this idea, and the campaign kicked off in 2010, first time in Melbourne. So thousands of Australians took part in the campaign, and ever since, the campaign has spread to United States, United Kingdom, Sri Lanka, and Colombia. And so many celebrities, just to name a few, Ben Affleck, Mark Anthony, and many others have taken this campaign. They have lived below the line for 5 days just to see how does it feel to live in extreme poverty. Last I heard, Mr. Bill Gates was planning to take this challenge, but because of his health reasons, because $2 a day is nothing, I'm not sure if he really took it. So the challenge remains, would you like to live below the line? Would you like to take this awareness and create an impact into your life? The challenge would be $2, 5 days and 3 meals. Can you take it? And remember, if you plan to take it, there won't be any Starbucks or Panera or Budweiser for those 5 days. I took it and I can tell it's doable, but it's a lot of work. And if you are interested, I have a PDF copy of all the recipes that you can make in those $2. And some recommendation that I got from internet was, do your shopping on Sunday evening, because that's the time when the groceries or especially the produce tend to be cheapest. Buy in bulk and make pasta, rice and white bread your friend. And also do all the cooking on Sunday so you can freeze your lunch and dinner for Monday and Tuesday. So I would really encourage you to consider taking this challenge, because by helping others, we help ourselves. And there's a famous Chinese proverb that says, if you want to be happy for an hour, go take a nap. If you want to be happy for a day, go do fishing. If you want to be happy for an year, inherit a fortune. And if you want to be happy for the lifetime, go help somebody. Because research has shown time and again that the true happiness is when we help others. And we all are really blessed with all that we have, our body, our income, our family, our environment that we take for granted. And I took this challenge and I could tell that when I got back to my normal life after those 3 days, I really appreciated my life to the fullest. All the things that I could not really appreciate before taking this challenge, I really came back to my life thinking, hey, how grateful I am to be enjoying all this food and living all these luxuries. So would you live below the line and maybe make this world a better place? Please take a moment to think. Thank you.
Mr. Timer, please give us 1 minute, and everyone take the opportunity to fill out the informal evaluation forms and give feedback to Pardeep on his speech. You've gone through your introduction, your opening, you want to get in the body of the speech. You're taking the audience on a ride. How do you get everybody, and the bigger the audience, imagine, so many different people, different tastes, thoughts, ideas. How do you get all of them to come with you on the ride? This is a different set of skills, not the same kind of things you find in the Toastmasters manuals. You're trying to build a rapport with the entire audience. And you do that most effectively by going for the things that we share universally. Amongst those, we all share the same 5 senses. And when you want to really get people involved in the story, when you want to get descriptive in your stories, in your speech, you want to be able to engage those senses. Now, you'll all hear a lot of presenters say you want to visualize, but that's just one sense, the sense of sight. And there are 4 others. And not everyone's visual. I'm not particularly visual. I think I'm getting more so perhaps. I'm primarily auditory. You want to say things I can hear. sounds good. And for those people who are kinesthetic, emotional or very attuned to physical touch, they want to feel how smooth or how rough something might be. Or the sense of smell, or the sense of taste. Those can also help engage. The more you can pull in all the senses, the more you'll be able to get all the people more engaged. Then, what else do we have that's very universal to the human experience? Stories. We want to hear a story more than anything else. Even as little kids just sitting around listening to stories, we're still that way. That's why we still love to watch the movies, watch our TV shows, get engaged with all these characters that don't exist. Because the stories become engaging, the characters become engaging. That's what you want in your speech. You want a story that gets them interested. You want characters that they can relate to, either for themselves or for people that they've known. So give your characters names. Use dialogue. Show them interacting. You need a conflict that gets built up and eventually reaches a resolution. And as with every story, you need a hero. And that's not going to be you. You can be the hero in your own story, but it's similar to that problem of blowing yourself up. You can, but in many cases it's even more effective if you make it somebody else. Even if in truth it was you and you're telling a real story, make it someone else. And you're the one telling the story. It's also useful if you want them to learn something, to gain something that they walk away with, some piece of wisdom that you are imparting. A character in your story has to impart that wisdom. You can call that person the guru, if you wish. Similarly, you're not going to be the guru. It's like you're trying to tell your kids and give them all the wisdom and information, all the stuff that you've given them through the years, and they don't listen. Yes, you're the parent. We know you know all this stuff, but I have to learn it for myself. The best way to give that information, that wisdom in the story is to help the audience discover it for themselves. There will be perhaps a guru to teach it, but it's not you, it's another character, or it is in fact the audience itself. That is how you get them to learn, to get them engaged, get them actively involved. Engage the senses, tell a story, get the characters, because when we walk out from your speech, we won't remember the points, especially if you just listed them off. And I've listed a bunch of things for you already. You won't necessarily remember them all. But you give them a story, they'll remember the story. You get their emotions involved, they'll remember how they felt. And somewhere along the line, your hope is to make the connection from those emotions to your points, to your story. And that is how they eventually remember over time. It's not nearly as easy as just getting up and saying, fellow Toastmasters, I'm going to tell you what I learned in researching this topic. We want it to be engaging and fun. So consider that when you're preparing your speech and find out how you're going to tell the story you need to tell. Make it up if you need to. Adopt a true one if you can. But always make it engaging. And the real fun part is when you have to do it on the spot. Which is what you get to do now. You can do all this in a tabletop, right? Let's see how well we can. Julian Cotto has been with the Central Florida Facilitators for over 6 years. He is one project short of an Advanced Communicator Silver, which he hopes to accomplish this month. Tonight, he will engage us, stretch our minds, and challenge our senses beyond your wildest imagination as your table topics master. So please welcome Julian Cotto.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Engage. What a word. And hopefully I'll wrap each and every one of you with rapturous topics. So engage is interactive or commission, contract, engagement. So how would you engage a leprechaun to give you his pot of gold, Sarah? Say that he's there.
Now, the leprechauns, I believe, are Irish, English, Irish. I have a big job to do. However, my grandparents are Irish, so I would have to leverage that because that's what I have. And to connect with a different nation, different parts, even though we're neighbors, I would definitely use my grandmother Nora. She knows how to have a great gin and tonic at the pub. I would invite that leprechaun with all the gold and a few drinks, you know what happens. I think she's so charming, she's so lovely. She likes that game of bingo, and that leprechaun's just gonna melt. I believe that could be my key, is to introduce the leprechaun to one of our British pubs, family style, game of bingo, put Nora in there, and I can see my bank account just ching, 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 ching. That's all I have for the leprechaun and the engagement piece. So I'm going to look forward to a couple of weeks to see what happens. But I know mysteriously coins, at least from my kids and what they share in the classroom, just appear. So I'm going to hope that works for me. Mr. Table Topics Master.
That's interesting. In my house, my coins just disappear. Kids. So if engagement is an acronym, E for exceptionalism, etc., how would you engage your exceptionalism? Susan?
Engage my exceptionalism because I am so exceptional at everything. You know, I am a hypnotist and I'm absolutely phenomenal at that. And I'm the parent extraordinaire with my 4 children, 5 children, my 4 from my stomach and my 1 that I love in my heart. And I think with them, I can, I don't know, they'll tell you all about how wonderful Mom is. She totally raised them right, and we have candy every day and cake, and we never got any cavities or any physical problems, and it's just because I'm exceptional. And that's the whole reason. Mr. Table Topics Master.
So how would you engage your boss to give you a raise, Emma?
I don't know. I actually never held a job for that long. In fact, I only held a job for 4 shifts. And then got fired. Which was funny. Kind of. Now that I look back on it, it is kind of funny because it's like, I did that for a time. But how would I do that? Work hard, get engaged, and make sure not to be too wrapped in the whole process of it, because then that can distract you and make you unable to do your job correctly, which has happened. And make sure that you let the boss know, hey, I've been working like this for a long time. Why don't we negotiate something so we can make it work? I mean, it might be a different wording, but there's definitely stronger words that you can use that will make it a lot better sounding than what I just said, but I'm also speaking off the top of my head, and that makes it a lot more difficult. I'd probably have to ask even her mom for help with that. Anyway, how would I do that? Just make sure you do your job. Right. Thank you.
So how do you engage your mate to pay attention to you, Jessica?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That's easy for me, and I can do that in less than a minute, that's for sure, and that's just have beer. And I hate to say it, but I'm dead serious. If I want my husband to go to any event with me or whatever, they just have to have beer. So when they started selling beer at movies, he starts to go to movies with me. If we go to theater events, as long as they have beer, he'll go with me. I don't think he would go to a dry wedding with me. I don't think he would go to anything that didn't actually have beer, as sad as that may be. But, however, it is kind of a funny little trait of his that, beer rules. So I don't know how well he would survive on Pardeep's challenge, because he wouldn't be able to do $10 of beer in a week. Well, unless maybe that's all he had, which is a possibility. But it was funny when you said engage and mate. I remembered a story that I thought I would share with you guys, which might be kind of amusing to you. August 8th, 2008, 8808, we decided to have an 80s party. It was also my birthday. And so it was a big fun deal, and we had everybody dress up in their 80s clothes and come over, side ponytails, lace, the whole 9 yards. It was actually really fun. But we had to get the house ready, and my husband and I have different ideas about what that entails to get the house ready. His is to suddenly decide to leave the backyard where nobody will be in the middle of the night. And mine is more about making sure everything is in order. So whenever we have an event at the house, I always go a little nutty because I want to make sure things are done my way. I'm very controlling like that. We spent the time doing all of this work, and he kept saying, well, let's take a break. Let's go out back. Let's go just take a relax. No, we don't have time. I'm freaking out doing something else. And something kept happening, and then I found out people were going to stay, so I had to clean out our guest room, and I was sneezing because of the dust. And then he disappeared, so I went and took a shower. And as I get out of the shower, shortly before the party was supposed to start, the doorbell rings, and he had just said, let's go out one more time. And I'm like, we don't have time. And then now there's people here that are early, and I really just went off. Ended up having a great party, tons of fun, etc. The next day, went to breakfast, came back, and he said, and you never opened your birthday gift for me. And I was like, oh. Opened it up, and he got down on one knee and proposed to me. And all day, all he had wanted to do was get engaged. And I was just going off and completely crazy that he said, forget it. So we got engaged on August 9th, 2008. I couldn't handle it. Mr. Tabletop.
A real man. Beer. See, I said it, man. Beer's one of those things. So how do you engage your mate to let you buy that boat, Pardeep? How do you engage your wife to let you buy that boat?
No plans to buy a boat, so I'm not sure how I would convince her in the first place, but maybe what I would do is, both of us love the beach and the ocean, and the only thing we need in our life is more time, so we can really enjoy more our weekends or spend quality time together. So my only selling point would be that they will go to beach and beautiful ocean more often. It comes with the headache of managing the boat too. And my community, it's a brand new community, they don't allow keeping the boat in the community. So I'll have to come up with some provision to, keep that boat somewhere. But if I really want to have a boat, and if I have that extra time in our life, quality time that we can spend together, and with my 5-year-old, who loves ocean too, by the way, so it won't be a very hard sell. And my wife usually says yes to most of the things that I ask her to do, so I believe I will be able to convince her to get us a boat, if I would like to.
Sure.
Thank you.
Awesome. So how would you engage your teenager to stop smoking, Richard? Preparing you for the future. Think ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That's very simple. My child will do what I tell him to do. There is no engaging him to get him to stop. I don't care what his age is. I never smoke. I don't like people that I don't say I don't like people that smoke. I don't like being around those that are smoking. I don't have much of a tolerance for it. If my child was smoking, end of his life. I don't care what he had, it would be revoked. That roof over his head gone, car gone, cell phone gone. You go to school and you come home, you're grounded. You won't hang out with your friends, you won't do anything, because under my house with my children, they will do as I say, and that's under reasonable circumstances. In the event they would like to challenge me, if they have a logical argument for it, I'm open to that. Invite you to persuade me to whatever it is that you want to do. Persuaded my parents to let me buy a beeper when I was in 8th grade. Didn't need it, but I gave logical reasons for it. Therefore, if you can convince me that what you need to do is going to benefit both you and myself, great. Smoking will never be one of them. They will not smoke in the house. End of story. Mr. Todd.
See, I noticed you assumed your teenager was a boy. But let me tell you, she's a girl. That ain't gonna work. She'll be smoking. I know it. So engage us in your gargantuan optimism, Jaye.
Master. Well, I will tell you what. My gargantuan optimism is about taxes, 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 and more taxes this time of the year. It is my rapt focus. About the only thing I can think about. Preparing more. Corporate, partnership, individual, and all those crazy people that send you their garbage bag. Like my client today. He was bragging to another friend, Jaye, she's such a great CPA. I just bring her this bag of stuff every year, and somehow she makes it into this fabulous thing. And by the way, I've got her a rainbow color bag this year. Something to really look forward to. Doesn't it sound exciting? Doing taxes for a living. Do you love it? Haven't I got you turned on yet? A rainbow bag that I get the pleasure of spending hours combing through and sorting and figuring out. But it gets done. Hey, he thought about me with all the colors of the rainbow. Thank you.
Tell us about your altruistic accomplishments, Stephen Morgan.
Having done hypnosis for 30 years, I have seen just about everything you've probably heard about related to the field. I've done the stuff on stage, lots of fun, love doing it. I've done the office work and the people who need help. I've done the groups, they're lots of fun. But the most interesting stories come out from some of these. See, hypnosis is ideal for getting to problems that are emotionally based. And, well, who do you know has an emotional problem? Got a few? Yes, I've seen them. I've seen a few. I do help where I can. And it doesn't mean that I don't always do it altruistically. I'm often getting paid. Not a lot. I don't charge huge chunks. But there's a reason for that. Because if I'm doing it gratis, and they think, oh, it's not going to cost anything, they also will think it's not worth anything. So yes, I will charge to try and help, but then I want to really help the people who have the problems they're coming in for. And then you find the roots of these problems, whether it will be childhood abuse, particularly traumatic experience, whatever their problem is, they find hooked into their need for being accepted, being loved, trying to avoid dying. But the craziest of all of them was in a class I was teaching hypnosis to people who come who are paying for it to be taught. I do teach. And one of the women was from Europe, and we're doing an example of regressing to cause, going back in their own time. And she offered to be our test subject, my test subject, so I do a quick regress to cause, and suddenly she is screaming and going crazy and paralyzing everybody with her outburst, because she had gone back to her childhood and the Nazis coming in to take her father away. To help people who have gone through experiences that awful. That's why I love doing what I do. And I will always be doing it. Till the very end.
And now engage us with your extemporaneous speech, Kirsten. I didn't think you were going to get away.
I would like to engage us first with Kristin. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As far as my speech goes, I will save that because I want to save the good stuff. I want to leave the excitement behind, the curtain over the next couple of weeks until I deliver my next speech. However, I was thinking of all the other table topics that were asked this evening and had answers for all of them, thinking working too hard to get, or working very hard is good, but sometimes I'm going to have to be careful because your employer will take advantage of that to try and save some money.
Never.
Yeah. Yes. And then I was thinking about the smoking thing, and I remember when I was a kid, I was probably 10 years old, and I found a pack of cigarettes in my brother's room. I used to snoop a lot at the time. I don't know, I didn't have a lot going on. And I remember I got so sad, and I started crying, and I ran to my parents. Mind you, he was 18 at the time, totally able to do it. Ran to my parents, cried, they said, there's not really anything we can do. Fast forward to my 18th birthday, and it was like, well, I'm 18 now. What am I going to do? Am I going to pierce something? Am I can't drink? So I went and bought cigarettes myself just to be able, and pierced my nose actually. Smoked a cigarette and it was disgusting, so I got to taste my own medicine. So I don't know that you'll have to worry a lot, Richard, if you have girls, but they'll probably, you have to try everything once, if you like it twice, it's my motto. So, Mr. Tabletop Master.
Engage us with your no-nonsense character, Gail.
Since you just got
Engage us with your no-nonsense character.
I need 20 seconds to get into the, I just came out of a business meeting. Save that question and pass on to somebody.
You're the last
Okay, repeat, I'm sorry.
Engage us with your no-nonsense character.
Well, Mr. Table Topic Master, engage you with a no-nonsense character?
Anything.
Anything.
Your no-nonsense opinion about something. Sure, you got an opinion about something.
That I do. I have an opinion about a number of things. In fact, I was talking to somebody just yesterday along that same vein of why I stay in Toastmasters. One of the reasons why I stay in Toastmasters. Because we are not evaluated really on the content of what we say, but rather on the delivery of it. And this is such a great environment to allow us to express our opinions and not really be judged. And if I happen to piss somebody off, I don't know about it because they don't come forward and tell me that I just pissed them off. Past that, another nonsense characteristics, I guess it's sort of superfluous, but I used to be called the Queen of Burping. And do you know why? The Queen of Burping.
I used to practice gathering air in my stomach, and it took a while to develop this muscle to hold air. I got to the point I could, in one burp, and I would challenge you to try this, to say, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Engage your mind on that miscellaneous item.
We have a lot in common. I used to be known as the king of the opposite of burp. Mr. Toastmaster!
Now to give our timer his due, we have neglected on the speaker, although I knew if the green light was on, he qualified, we should hear his time, but also our table topics so we know who to vote for.
You did excellent, right at 6 minutes and 6 seconds, so you do qualify as best speaker. Shocker, you win. If everybody votes for themselves tonight, we'll have a draw, so don't do that. Sarah, your Leprechaun, and in gold, 1 minute and 15 seconds. Susan, with your Exceptionalism, 1 minute, 8 seconds. Great topics, by the way. I thought they were very unique and engaging. Emma, Boss, for your Raise, 1 minute 23. Jessica, engaging your partner, 2 minutes 26. Pardeep, buying the boat, 1 minute and 5. Myself, and smoking, 1 minute 13. Jaye, Gargantuan Optimism, 1 minute and 32. Stephen, altruistic accomplishment, 2 minutes 35.
Oh, I do qualify.
Does not qualify. Oh. Kristin, your extemporaneous speech, 1 minute 23. Gail, engaging nonsense, 1 minute 50. All but Stephen qualify for table topics.
Therefore, our vote counter has a job to do finally, and she'll be coming around to collect your ballots for best table topics. When you've given your speech, gotten us engaged, taken us on the ride, you have to close as well. And the closing to your speech is going to be what they walk away with, the last piece. So how do you want them to remember? What is the very last feeling and last thought that you want in their heads as you finish? With your closing, if you're doing a very technical or very targeted speech, you're going to recap what you've told them before. If you're telling a story, perhaps you're giving the epilogue or the final resolution to the conflict. If you're telling a particular tale, you may be introducing your twist right at the very end that suddenly changes the perception of the rest of your speech. And then everyone is left with the aha, the epiphany. If you can give the epiphany for the end, and that is what they walk away with, they will remember your speech. They will remember your point, because you suddenly hit them with a sudden realization, and the emotional realization, all of it suddenly popping in their heads. And then as you leave, they've got the time for that all to also absorb in. Time is a big part of that conclusion. When you're concluding, you don't want to be just walking along and telling your story and suddenly go, thank you, and hand off. You make your point, you want to pause. You want silence so that the audience absorbs what you were telling them before you finally hand it back to the Toastmaster, the Master of Ceremonies, whoever it may be. You're going to stand there and own the stage as you're finishing. So do it. When you put all of these pieces together, you've engaged them, their senses, their emotions, you grabbed them and took them on the ride, and now you've brought them to that final end. The speech has become something a lot more than what you thought it was. It's not the projects in the manual. You're creating a work of art. Because the real goal of art is to engage the emotions. And that is what you're trying to do. Even on a dry speech, you're going to want to find a way to engage them. little bits of humor, little bits of aha, or perhaps bits of disgust. Can you believe that something is like this? That is what you want to come from your speech. And from engaging the audience and pulling all these things together, you'll find that what you started off with is just simply a way to get up and talk in front of people becomes a way to express yourself and allow everyone else to learn along the way. Then they want you to come back and speak some more. That's even better. Hopefully you've learned a little bit. If not, I'm going to have to work on my own presentation. But in the meantime, everyone else deserves to get the feedback. They're here. We're all here to learn and gain. So it's time to welcome up our General Evaluator, Jessica Guthrie. She co-founded the Central Florida Facilitators Toastmasters Club in 2003 and has been engaged with Toastmasters since 2001. Please welcome our General Evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster, Jessica Guthrie.
Job by our Toastmaster tonight. And as we start the evaluation portion of our meeting, I would actually like to reiterate what Stephen said when he was talking about when you're formulating a speech and the elements that you need as a part of the speech. An evaluation, no pressure, Jay, an evaluation is a speech. It requires the same type of format. Your introduction, what do we need to expect? How are you setting your credentials? How are you setting the stage? Then you start your speech, you grab attention, you share the information, make it engaging, and then when you close, you pull it together. It's the same information. It's the same for table topics. All the different things that we do all follow that same type of format, and we want to make sure that because the purpose is to engage the audience. You're having a conversation, even though it feels like a one-way conversation when you're giving a speech, it is actually a two-way conversation. The other people just aren't speaking. So if you ask a question, you pause and give that time, the audience time to answer. If you're trying to make a point and you want to make sure they're receiving that, you pause. So it's the same kind of concept of creating that engagement. So something to think about as we go through our evaluation portion of the meeting tonight. And now it's my honor to introduce our evaluator this evening. And at this time of year, our first evaluator is completely wrapped with tax return exhaustion. Thanks for getting in the word for me there. Even so, she will transform her exhaustion into excitement for the evaluation of another amazing speech given by Pardeep. Please help me welcome Jaye Majors evaluating the speech of Pardeep.
Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters, and most specifically, Pardeep. Again, another amazing speech. The purpose of Pardeep's speech tonight is to get to the point. The objectives: to select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purpose, organize the speech in a way that it achieves the goals and the purposes, ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purpose of your speech, project sincerity and conviction, and control your nerves no matter how you feel, and also strive not to use notes. Now, the general purpose of a speech is a broad idea, a broad intent. Are you informing? Are you speaking to persuade, to entertain, or to inspire? And beyond that, the specific purpose is usually a one sentence or a small short statement about what you hope to accomplish with the speech. Pardeep's introduction helped us get an idea of what the general purpose of his speech was. It took me a little bit to really grab which direction you were going to go and what your real purpose was. To persuade. You had a persuasive speech. And your specific purpose, as your story unfolded, you told us a little short story about how you got into the challenge to live below the line. Once you got beyond that and started really talking about why you did it, then I understood exactly what your specific purpose was. You wanted to encourage everybody in this room to look at how we can help others, even if that means through sacrificing something that we normally would enjoy. So it was a very interesting way you brought all that together. You had the clear beginning telling us your little story, and you supported throughout the body with more ideas and with lots of facts, as you always do, to help support what your conclusion was. Your conclusion being, from that Chinese proverb, all those 4 parts down to the last one, a lifetime of happiness comes from helping others. That to me was the greatest point of the whole speech, when you took us through your challenge and then the real reason why you did the challenge. Why we don't want to waste time with just a day of fishing when we could help someone else. You had great confidence. That was part of the purpose and goal of your speech. You always do when you get up here. I love it that you're able to speak without notes. You were telling us a personal story, so that should have been easy. What I would like to see you do a little more, and this will come a little later in other speeches as you're moving through your manual, add more vocal variety. Get out and move around the room a little bit. Engage your hands and engage specific people by looking them in the eye as you're talking. You stood kind of over here beside the lectern and didn't really emote a lot. That would have truly helped your persuasive purpose of your speech. Overall, I loved it and I loved the point. Get the emotion out. Pour it out on the floor to us.
Thank you, Jay. May we please have a timer's report on our evaluator this evening, Mr. Richard?
Yes. Good job, total of 3 minutes, 17 seconds. She qualifies.
And let's go ahead and go through the remaining of our functionary reports, starting with our Wizard of Oz, so I can make sure I can all later, Susan Morgan.
I was very rapt when I was taking these notes, so hopefully we have a lot of stuff for the bus. Jaye, you had 3 ahs and ums and 2 bridge words. Stephen, you had 6 bridge words. Pardeep, you had 5 ahs and ums and 2 bridge words. Julian, I caught 1 bridge word. I said, you know. And Jessica, you had a you know and a couple of ahs and ums and a couple of bridge words. Emma, you had a couple of bridge words. Gail, you had a bridge word. And Sarah, I didn't catch anything on you. And that is my report.
And I know our grammarian's been listening with rapt attention this evening, so Emma, please give us your grammarian report, please.
A lot of people use the word of the day today. Some of Jessica, Jaye, Stephen, Richard, Kristin, Julian, my mom, and me. Because I did use that, I just didn't write it down. The colorful phrases that I got, because I generally like to focus on those, because I like that. Stephen, get their emotions involved. Pardeep, a life of happiness is to help others. To get a life of happiness is helping others. Something along those lines. And Gail, perfect. That was funny. Anything else I have not caught? Thank you.
But please do take a moment and vote for most improved. And so our vote counter can come around and pick those notes up. And if you have any other notes for anyone who spoke tonight to give them some feedback, please provide that information as well. I'll now take this opportunity to evaluate the overall meeting. It was great that we started on time. Thank you, Kristin, keeping us honest on that. And Emma, appreciate your thought of the day and getting us through moving the meeting forward when we started. I would like to make a note that the quote that you used, you probably need to say who that came from, and I can't remember off the top of my head who it is. I should know, but I don't. But I know that that's a stated quote, so I'll probably give credit where credit's due. So there's something
I only
to think
found out
about.
the internet, so I found out the internet on that picture, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. Well, okay. Well, just something to be aware of, that if you were doing that like in a speech
That's
or something
what
like that,
I
you would need to.
Yeah, I did that in speech, yeah, I mean, high
Okay.
school, they teach you that.
Yep, that's right.
I wasn't in high school, that wasn't good, unfortunately.
Stephen, you were very engaging as our Toastmaster, gave everybody some great tips, great flow of the meeting, used the time wisely since we did have some extra time and really used that wisely, so I really do appreciate it. I took a whole bunch of notes just to keep myself honest, so thank you, I appreciate that. And our table topics were great. Julian, thank you very much. Some were hard, some were easy, but we're all experienced Toastmasters now, so it was a great opportunity for us to really engage and be able to answer those questions, so I thought that was really well done. I do have one potential change to suggest to you, Julian, which is I think you were chewing gum. That was a little distracting, so just so you're aware.
He was engaged.
He was engaged. You were wrapped with attention.
She said it was wrapped with my gum.
And then our evaluator, you really did a wonderful job evaluating the speech of Pardeep. And particularly what I wanted to point out was that she not only made some points, but she also said why it was important. For example, it's important to get out, make eye contact in order to be able to persuade. Why do you want to do the things that you want to do? So I thought it was more than just making points about things to improve or things that you did really well, but why it was important for those. So I thought that was very well done, Jaye, so congratulations on that. Functionaries, great job, all on it. And I guess my only other point of trying to make some suggestions for improvement is we need to get more members here. Preaching to the choir, you guys are here, but we need to get members here and guests. So let's really start promoting and starting to get that time where we want to make sure that we're going to be having enough numbers to renew in March so that we're at full capacity and really sharing this wonderful secret that we all know as Toastmasters, sharing the wealth. And with that, I am going to turn control back over of the meeting back over to our president, Jaye Majors.
Back again. I know you're getting tired of it by now. Okay, the first thing I want to do is we need to go over the schedule.
She's got several different copies.
Yeah, so
It's like 5 different copies, two going around.
Any conflicts do you have to resolve?
Let's see. At first glance, only one, and I know it can be resolved. Toastmaster Jonathan Dunn, his theme, Thoughts to Live By. 3 speakers, Richard Sapp, Jessica Guthrie, and our gung-ho Pardeep. Table topics, Jaye Majors, General Evaluator Stephen, Evaluators myself, Sarah Hunt, and Stephen Morgan.
For evaluate?
And General Evaluator?
General?
So excited to evaluate.
Just general would be.
Just general. So we have 2 evaluators, Sarah and myself, but we have 3 speakers.
I can do that.
Emma, you signed up as all counter?
I do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Emma.
Here's what I'm doing myself.
Supervisor of Elections, Pardeep,
Well, by speaking,
and speaking.
I did discuss.
So, on the second one, yes. We have a volunteer for Supervisor of Elections.
Aren't I on there already?
you signed in as timer, but so did Kristin. So Kristin, would you like to be a supervisor of elections?
That's what she's doing now, basically.
Maybe I should do that one. That's super, okay. And then timer would be Kristin, and we need grammarian. Okay. You're a table topic master? Okay, I can probably fill in unless I can corral somebody. Sarah, will you be here at the meeting next week?
Next week I will.
Next week?
I signed up for the Evaluator.
Oh, you did. Thank you. And I already called your name. I'm sorry, I'm not really here. However, I am here and enough to, I would like to pass these out. You can just circulate. Those of you working in your CL manual, your competent leadership, many opportunity to be going out to other clubs, taking on roles to fill those positions in your competent leadership. All these contests would allow you to do that. This is just in our division. Look at your calendars and then contact Jessica as the contact, because I didn't have the individual contacts there. And I know she can get your name off to somebody. And lastly, all of you saw on the schedule March 29th. Last week we decided to do our re-gifting auction. We do, however, need a chairman to sort of coordinate the whole thing. But you have it easy because we already have an auctioneer. Everybody will be bringing things. They will give a 2 to 3 minute table topic description of what's to be auctioned, and then our auctioneer will take it from there. But we need a chairman to help coordinate food and all the other subcommittees, to coordinate with our promotion of it, get people here. By show of hands, who can take this on? You have 4 weeks. I've already signed up to take money, so I will be glad to do that.
Gail, I can probably do it, if I can confirm, just after I check my
Okay,
schedule.
on the 29th?
Yeah.
All righty, that would be awesome.
You get a sub-chair for the food, and she's gonna work on setting up the stuff for the collection. We have a Excel schedule and all that we use already. So the main thing would be food. We have the auctioneer in, we have to set up the room, and the auctioneer will come and help you lay things out like that, so.
And I can certainly coach you, Susan, Stephen, Julian, Jessica, we're all pretty versed with this
And
event.
I did a lot of work last year too.
Yeah, and Jaye, yes. Great, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Our
What area are we in?
42.
Any other announcements that we need to get out, a reminder, Jessica?
Two dates announcements. One is, I was going to mention, we're Area 42, so the Area 42 contest is March 12th. It's at the library in Longwood, which is the one that's down near Hump Club. So you're aware, so come and support Stephen, who's going to be representing some sort of facilitator.
Renee will be doing table topics.
Oh, okay.
I've got Jonathan and I both have different clubs for.
Okay, all right, well, great, then come and support her as well, that would be fantastic.
Woo!
And then April 9th, obviously, is the division contest, that's my baby, and if anybody wants to participate and help, I surely greatly appreciate your help, so we'll talk about that closer as we get closer to the date. The other date I wanted to make everybody aware of is that May Gittles memorial service is going to be this Saturday, March 4th at 1 o'clock, and it is at the Atria Senior Living Facility, which is down in Sanford. And I think she's put information out there on Facebook, et cetera, with more
Also, there's an
details.
email that was sent out.
Yeah, she sent several different emails. to
It's
some
not
of
in
my
downtown
questions.
Sanford.
No, it's on 46.
46A, way out
West
there.
of International,
Yeah, past all of the mall.
between International and Orange.
Yeah, when you get off at that Sanford exit, and you turn left, and you go to the west,
Yeah.
and it's down that way. and that's where she was living. It's a great little facility, so, and I know Tony's put a lot into putting this together, so I know she would really appreciate it and want to support me as well as being one of her members. So please come here. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. If there's nothing else, then I would like to go ahead and move on to the awards piece. The Tim Chastain Award tonight is going to someone who stepped up to help out with a very important function in our secretary's absence, and who did a lot of work last week to make sure everything ran properly. Susan Morgan. Our Most Improved Award, and I'm happy to see it. Our newest member, Pardeep. Best Table Topics, Jessica. Bear with us. Best Evaluator. And finally, Best Speaker, Pardeep Jindal. And since there is no more business, I call this meeting adjourned.